Hi friends, myself Subrata Mukherjee and you are viewing my channel Dr. Subrata Mukherjee Distance Learning in Commerce. I would like to request my viewers to subscribe the channel and to see the playlist section of the channel where I have uploaded lectures on accounts, costing, financial management and management accounting. Today I am going to solve a practical problem on cost sheet. I would like to request the students to note the problem and to see the way I have solved the problem. Please give your valuable feedback so that I can develop the channel for the benefits of the students of commerce. In respect of a factory, the following figures have been obtained for the year ended 31st December 2020. Cost of materials 1,50,000, direct wages 1,25,000, factory overhead 75,000, administration overhead 84,000, selling overhead 56,000, distribution overhead 35,000, profit 1,05,000. A work order has been issued in 2021 and the following expenses have been estimated. Cost of materials 3,000, direct wages 2,000. Assuming that in 2021 factory overhead will go up by 20%, distribution overhead will go down by 10%, and selling and distribution overhead will each go up by 12.5%. State at what price should the product be sold so as to earn the same rate of profit on the selling price as in 2020. At note, administration, selling and distribution overheads are based on works cost. This is a very fine problem and it's a practical problem that we are going to solve today. Here the presentation is very important. I would like to request all the students to note the problem and the solution and try to solve the way I am doing it here. So see the presentation. So first of all, I am writing here the cost sheet for the year 2020, and we have to prepare the cost sheet for the year 2020 at original cost and at 2021 anticipated cost, because there is an increase and decrease in some element of cost in 2021 which is anticipated. So first of all, we will prepare the cost sheet for the year 2020 at original cost, that is the figures which are given in the question. So here I am writing cost of material this is at 1,50,000. Then wages 1,25,000. So we will get the prime cost 2,75,000. Then we have to add the factory overhead and the factory overhead is 75,000 and the works cost is 3,50,000. Then we are going to add the administration overhead $84,000 to arrive at cost of production which is 4,34,000. Then it is given that selling overhead is 56,000. So I am writing here selling overhead 56,000 and distribution overhead is 35,000. So cost of sales is 5,25,000. add profit. So profit figure is given in the question as 1,05,000 and the sales is 6,30,000. So we have prepared the cost sheet for the year 2020 at original cost, the figures which are given in the question. Now it is given that in 2021 there will be an increase in the factory overhead by 20%. So there is an increase of factory overhead by 20%. And there will be an increase of administration overhead by 12.5%. So I am writing here 12.5%. There will be increase in administration overhead. There will be an increase in selling overhead by 12.5%. And there will be a decrease in the distribution overhead by 10%. Now, what will be the cost sheet, the revised cost sheet for 2020 at anticipated cost of 2021 that we are going to write? So, cost of material is constant. So, I am writing here 1,50,000. See the presentation, how I am solving the problem. Then, the wages is 1,25,000. So there is no change in the prime cost, or I am writing here 2,75,000. Then if there is an increase of 20% in the factory overhead, then the factory overhead will be 90,000. How I arrive at this figure? Simply 75,000 into 120%. So you will get 90,000. And the works cost is 3,65,000. So there is a 12.5% increase in administration overhead. So I am writing 84,000 into 112.5%. So your revised administration overhead will be 94,500. So I am writing a 94,500 for administration overhead. So cost of production will be 4,59,500. There will be an increase of 12.5% in selling overhead. So selling overhead will be 56,000 into 112.5%, and this is 63,000. And there is a 10% decrease in distribution overhead. So I am writing 35,000 into 90%. You will get. These are all working. I am doing it for your understanding. So this is 31,500. And the revised cost of sales will be 5,54,000. And you want to maintain the same amount of profit as a percentage of sales. So here I am writing what is the percentage of profit on sales. You can also calculate as a percentage of profit on cost of sales. You will be getting the same answer. But in the question it is given that the profit is calculated as a percentage of sales. So I am writing the working here, the first working note, that is profit percentage on sales is equal to 1,05,000 divided by 6,30,000 into 100. You will get 16 2/3%. If the profit is 16 2/3%, then the cost is 83 1/2. This represent, therefore cost of sales is 83 1/3% of sales. So here that this 5,54,000 represent 83 1/3% of sales. So I am calculating here what will be the expected sales at the 2020 price. So 5,54,000 divided by 83 1/3%. So your sales figure is 6,64,800. And the profit is the balancing figure. This is 1,10,800. So I have prepared the cost sheet for the year 2020 at the revised at the original cost as well as the anticipated cost of 2021. Please have a look at it, and then we are going to calculate the cost of work order that you have received in the year 2021. So here on the right side, I am writing here cost for the work order in 2021. We will calculate the selling price, the estimated selling price for the work order that you have received in the year 2021 based on the anticipated cost of 2021. So it is given in the year 2021 that the material cost for this work order is 3,000. So beside this cost of material, I am writing here 3,000, the cost of material. Then the cost of wage is 2,000. So simply I am writing here 2,000. So total of the cost of material and wages is 5,000. Now here the main working I am going to do. It is given, you have to calculate rather the factory overhead as a percentage of wages. It is given in the question that the factory overhead has to be recovered as a percentage of wages. So here I am doing the working. Number 2, this is the factory overhead. So what will be the factory overhead for the work order that you have received in 2021? So first we need to calculate the factory overhead rate. That is 90,000 divided by 1,25,000 into 2,000. So this 90,000 I have taken it from here. See, 90,000 is the factory overhead at 2021 anticipated cost. And what is this 90,000 as a percentage of 1,25,000? That is the wages. So 90,000 divided by 1,25,000 into 2,000. 2,000 is the wages for the work order. So you will get this as rupees 1,440. Now what is this 90,000 by 1,25,000? This is basically the factory overhead recovery rate. So your factory overhead, I am doing this for your understanding, that is factory overhead recovery rate as a percentage of wage is 90,000 divided by 1,25,000 into 100. So this is 72%. Next, you have to calculate the factory cost. So I am writing here, beside this factory overhead, 1,440. So your works cost will be 6,440. Now you need to calculate what will be the administrative overhead for this work order. For this work order, what will be the estimated administration overhead? And this administration overhead is calculated as a percentage of works cost. So in the working, I have to do a small working here in the working note. So administration overhead, this is equal to 94,500 divided by 3,65,000 into 6,440, and the administration overhead is 1,667. Administration overhead recovery rate I am calculating. This is 94,500 divided by 3,65,000 into 100. You will be getting 25.89%. So the administration overhead is basically 25.89% of works cost. That is, the works cost is 6,440. This is 1,667. Either you can do it by calculating the recovery rate, and then you have to calculate what is the cost, estimated cost, or simply you can directly calculate what will be the estimated administration overhead. Either of these two processes you can follow. So by writing here 1667, beside the administration overhead, I am getting the cost of production, estimated cost of production rather, 8107. Then you have to calculate the estimated selling overhead and the distribution overhead. So here I am writing in the working note, I am calculating both this figure together. So selling overhead. And selling overhead as well as distribution overhead is also calculated as a percentage of works cost. So selling overhead is 63,000 divided by 3,65,000 into 6,440, and this is 1,112. So selling overhead recovery rate, is 63,000 divided by 3,65,000 into 100. So this is 17.26%. So what is the amount of selling overhead? So selling overhead is 17.26% of 6,440. This is 1,112. You can calculate the factory overhead also by applying this factory overhead recovery rate. So here I am writing the factory overhead is equal to 72% of wages, that is 2,000, and this is rupees 1,440, and this amount is administration overhead. So either you can calculate the amount of fixed the factory overhead, administration overhead, selling overhead as well as distribution overhead by calculating the recovery rate first, and then you apply that rate on the cost that is given. That is, the factory overhead recovery rate is calculated as a percentage of wages. Administration, selling and distribution overhead is recovered as a percentage of works cost. So either of these two processes you can follow. Then you need to calculate the distribution overhead. So I am writing here distribution overhead. So distribution overhead is 31,500 divided by 3,65,000 into 6,440. You will get 556. And here I am calculating the distribution overhead recovery rate. Distribution overhead recovery rate. So this is 31,500 divided by 3,65,000 into 100. You will be getting 8.63%. And what is the amount of distribution overhead? Distribution overhead is equal to 8.63% of 6,440 is rupees 556. Now I will write the amount of selling overhead 1,112 and distribution overhead 556 in the cost sheet. So selling overhead 1,112 and distribution overhead as 5. So your cost of sales will be 9,775. Now this represents 83.13%. So 9,775 into 1 by 83.13%, we will be getting 11,730. So the difference of the sales figure and the cost represents the profit, and the estimated amount of profit is 1,555. So it is given in the question, you need to quote, you need to find out the estimated selling price for the work order that you have received in the year 2021, and the estimated sales price is rupees 11,730. I am trying to showing it in one screen. So on the left, I have prepared 3 columns basically. In the first 2 columns, it is the cost sheet for the year 2020 at original cost and at 2021 anticipated cost. And in the last column, I have shown you the cost for the year for the work order of 2021. So the cost of material, then wages is given as 3,000 and 2,000 for the work order. So I have calculated the prime cost. Then the factory overhead. What is the estimated factory overhead? I have calculated in the working note. Either of these two processes you can follow. So factory overhead is 1,440. I have got this figure 90,000. This is the factory overhead in the anticipated cost structure of 2021 divided by 1,25,000. This is the wages into 2,000. Or you can calculate the factory overhead recovery rate and then you apply this rate on the wages to calculate the amount of factory overhead, 1,440. So in the similarly, I have calculated the amount of administration overhead, and administration overhead is recovered as a percentage of works cost, which is calculated at 1,667, and the administration overhead recovery rate is calculated at 25.89. And selling overhead I have calculated at 1,112, and the selling overhead recovery rate is 17.26%. And the distribution overhead I have calculated at 556, and distribution overhead recovery rate is 8.63%. And it is given in the question that the factory overhead in the 2021 is going to increase at a rate of 20%. Then administrative overhead is also increasing at a rate of 12.5%. Selling overhead, there is an increase in the selling overhead at 12.5%, and there is a decrease in the distribution overhead by 10%. So I expect that all the students have copied the problem and tried to solve it the way I have done it for you. This is a practical based problem. I would like to request to practice this problem at least 2 times for your proper understanding. Thank you. Thanks for watching the lecture.